Hello everybody, my name is CC23 and today I'm going to be doing something that I've always wanted to do. A TV/movie theory prediction video. Now, do I have any qualifications to do this? No. Technically no. But we're going to ignore that answer because as a Game of Thrones and Star Wars fan, I have learned throughout the years to take the liberty to dissect every single frame in a trailer and search for clues and then come up with my own predictions and theories. Many events that happened in both the Star Wars and Game of Thrones, I got right. And I'm very, very proud of that. But I'm also a film student and I got a good eye for these things. Just ignore the glasses. Anyway, this is a prediction theory video for a small but excellent TV show that I found while watching Netflix during quarantine 3 months ago, called Wynonna Earp. I completely fell in love with this show, and I totally recommend it to everyone because it's really good. And now, after waiting 3 long months, but like over a year for everybody who's known that this show existed since season 3, a season 4 trailer came out yesterday during the time that I'm recording this, and I'm gonna use my detective skills to break down and get a prediction going. A fair warning though, there is going to be spoilers from the first 3 seasons and season 4 if I do end up getting anything right. Also, there are images that are a little disturbing for younger viewers, so just a heads up there.
My celestial sister. My vampire baby daddy. My aunt, cop. Without them, without the gun, I'm nothing.
We have the main character, Wynonna Earp, introducing all the other characters with clips and shots of said other characters. So she starts off by saying, "My celestial sister," introducing Waverly Earp, the angel. Well, half angel. She has angel blood. This shot that we see of her, though, is very interesting, and we will come back to it later. Next, she says, "My vampire baby daddy." Now, we get a clip of Doc Holliday, and the name that Wynonna dubbed him says it all, really. Well, he's that and also the greatest gunslinger that ever lived. But another thing to pay attention to is the choice of wardrobe, his jacket. It's a very interesting choice because in my interpretation, it's a very kind of sleek jacket. It represents the vampire that is now in him, the vampire side of him, if you will, and how he's no longer the immortal cowboy from the start of the series, but is now a vampire cowboy that lives forever. Finally, Wynonna says, "My hot cop," and it's hot, not hot. Hot is the character's last name. Introducing Nicole Hot, the all-too-human police officer that became sheriff. There is more, we'll get back to her. Wynonna goes on to say that without them, without my gun, I'm nothing. And over top of that, there were some very strange images that flashed on the screen. First, we see Wynonna being dragged to a makeshift metal gallows where others have fallen victim to. But, oh look, there's Chrissy Nedley. We haven't seen her since season 1, where she was featured in 3 episodes, and it's quite fun that they got the returning actress, Donna Christina, for this very small but very impactful role. But then what I'm very curious about is Nicole falling into a black hole. Could this mean that all of season 4 takes place inside a black hole? No, I'm just kidding, but like, look at the setting here. It seems very unreal, unnatural. I mean, look at the grid pattern here. Now, I think that this is part of a surreal vision that Nicole is going to have. I'll come back to this when there are more clips that I believe are part of the same vision come up. We then see a transformation of Peacemaker, the name of the gun, into a sword. We found out last season that the sword was a key to opening the door to the garden, or so-called paradise. but I have a feeling that I would not find myself relaxing on a beach with a coconut in my hand that I'm drinking out of if I went there for a paradise vacation. Anyway, then we go back to the gallows scene where Wynonna is about to be hanged. Now, what I think that we're seeing is inside the garden. And it's not a garden per se, but a personal hell. I think that the garden projects a person's fears and makes them live through it. This can involve like regretful past decisions and embarrassing moments to projecting your greatest fear to you. It's like the garden can take bits of your mind and make a custom haunted house that they would make you live through, which is very convenient if you wanted to have a nice scare on Halloween, but more on this later. Okay, let's go on.
Wynonna. Help.
Alright, next we hear Waverly call Wynonna's name, and we fade into Wynonna waking up. I think that this is the beginning of her vision quest. Like, she just entered the garden, and this is the beginning of it. And in turn, the beginning of her nightmare vision thing. Then we see Waverly asking for help. She's wearing a very particular coat. Look at the coat. She's wearing the coat that she wore in season 3, episode 5, titled Jolene. This has been speculated by many that she is wearing this because it is the darkest point the character has ever gotten to on the show. The episode tackling deep topics like depression and suicide. I think that she's in the garden in this clip because of my theory of the garden that it makes you live through rough times, and while I can say with a pretty safe bet that the Jolene episode was a rough time for Waverly. Then we are back to Wynonna calling Waverly. This once again takes place in the gallows scene. Alright, now let's move on.
Demons running amok, mystical portals to another worldly realm. It's just so good to be home.
Now, after the tag, you fought for it, because the fans did fight for the show to not get cancelled. We then see silhouetted people walking weird. And I'm gonna call the people or creatures zombies from here on out, because watching the trailer, that was the thing that I was reminded of. Well, that and the fact that there were vampires in the last season, so I don't think that it's too far-fetched to dub them zombies, right? Then we see a hero shot of Nicole, Wynonna, and... who is that? My best guess at this point is this is Valdez, because many people think that she is Valdez from the comics. This shot is connected to a lot of other shots in the trailer, including the last one, but we'll get back to that. We then see Wynonna being thrown through a door by Waverly and Doc. I think that she's already in the garden at this point, and I think that the garden is projecting her loved ones to throw her into her first vision or nightmare quest. Like that wasn't the real Waverly and Doc. I do believe that this shot is connected to the one where Wynonna wakes up. And finally, we see Wynonna standing back to back with Doc, saying, "It's so good to be home." That's interesting. She says that a lot in this trailer. But check out what is behind her. We got a promo video earlier of the same scene, but from behind the scenes. And the room is very garden-y. I mean, there are bananas hanging from God knows what, but you can also see vines and greenery around the background. I think that this is the same scene with the gallows, but before she's being dragged. Okay, let's continue.
You glorious ginger bitch. Give me a big one.
You listen to me. Nobody fucks with our family.
The next clip is what really got me excited for the season. Forget all the mystery behind what took Waverly and Doc away, and why Wynonna and Randy Nedley, Chrissy's father, were the only two left in town. No. It was the fact that Nicole punched Wynonna in the face. I loved that. That got me hooked. Over the seasons, there was only one episode where the two characters teamed up, and somehow always got more drunk than the last, at least for Nicole. But I really like the comedic duo that they are, and I think that we're gonna get more than one episode of them together, which is very exciting. But I think that this isn't the first scene that they share together. I think that this is Wynonna explaining to Nicole that she essentially lost Waverly to the garden. But for the trailer's sake, this is the introduction of their relationship. And the good news about it is, the relationship can't get any lower than it already is. We see Randy and Wynonna standing together. I think that this shot is from the very first scene in season 4. I think that there will be a scene of just them two planning and figuring out what to do next. And then there will be a time jump, essentially treating the first scene as a prologue to the rest of the season. The first scene does take place right where the last one ended. Next up, we see Waverly holding her hands up to the side of Doc's face, identical to the way that she did with setting Bobo free. But that's not the only thing we see here. Look at the sleeves of her coat. Also, take note that this is the same coat as the Jolene episode, so we know that this is taking place in the garden. Anyway, she spilled so much grape juice on there. I mean, come on, it doesn't wash out. But what I'm wondering is, how did that grape juice get there in the first place? There is one more thing before we move on. Check out the top right corner. There are a pair of legs. If I had to guess, I think that this is Wynonna standing there. Would it be the real Wynonna or a projection of her? I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. Then we see a really fast shot of Waverly holding up a shotgun to someone. I can't really tell who it is, but I do think I see red hair, so could this be Nicole? If so, I predict that this is their reunion, where Waverly is still on edge and arms herself so that she won't get hurt by the garden. But Nicole assures her that this is real. She's no longer in the garden. We then see Wynonna and Doc running out of the barn due to the color and lighting choice in front of them, and also the expressions on their faces. I'm going to predict that the homestead is on fire, and even worse, check out Doc's vampire jacket. I feel like that means that this isn't some vision in the garden. This is real life. The homestead is going up in flames. I think this takes place in the final episode filmed before COVID-19, or the mid-season finale. And before we move on, Randy says, "No one fucks with our family." And I love that. Alright, on to the next clip.
Game on, bitches!
Vacation is over, assholes!
I'm gonna kick so much ass, I might go up a shoe size.
God, I've missed you, Waverly Earp.
We are once again back at that prologue scene that I talked about earlier, where Wynonna is now showing off her guns that Doc so kindly lended to her before he followed Waverly into the garden. Then we see her strap on the belt and holsters. She says, "Game on, bitches," while we see a shot of her, but look at the background. On the pool table, the very pool table that she gave birth on. Anyway, what I see is scissors, a knife, a hatchet over here, and are those unlit torches? They'll go nicely with Nedley's pitchforks, that's for sure. I can just imagine the former sheriff just rioting in the streets, just a one-man army, and I am here for it. Next up, we see Doc walking into a place saying, "Vacation's over, assholes." Once again, I think he's in the present because of the vampire jacket that he's strutting with. And look at the background of this place. Just the pink and blue contrasting reminds me a lot of the vampires of last season. Maybe he's still one of them? Or how else is he able to get in the first place? I don't really know what's going on here, but what we do know is that Countessa is still alive, so maybe he's looking for her? And the last part of this clip, we have a lot to unpack in this shot, so stay with me. First, we see Waverly saying that she's going to kick so much ass that she might go up shoe size. This is definitely the first one-on-one scene that the two characters are going to get together after they reunite. But pay attention to what she's wearing here. It's the same thing that we saw in the intro shot of Waverly dancing around the house. But then we see Nicole saying that she missed her, which is so sweet, and I love it, but look at her shirt. It says loyal on it, and that's not an accident on Wardrobe's part. That gives us two options. One, she was loyal, or two, she wasn't. And this is where I'm worried. So stay with me now, I have some good points here. The couple has had and overcome drama in the past. Last time, Nicole got jealous of Waverly, so what if this time Waverly gets jealous of Nicole? If you go back to the Earpapalooza 2019, it's on YouTube, and if you haven't seen the panel already, I'm going to have a link in the description below of the full panel. But If you skip to 53:18, Caparel, who plays Nicole, is talking about how she doesn't want the characters to stay mad at Doc for making a mistake. But then Emily Andress, the showrunner and writer of the show, says, and I quote, "Maybe it's someone else's turn to make a really big mistake." I definitely think that she's talking about Nicole here, so my prediction is a sad one, especially for Way Hot shippers. But what if Nicole is so upset about Waverly being gone that Wynonna takes her out to drink because, well, it's Wynonna. But then Nicole gets so drunk that she ends up hooking up with someone, and that someone turns out to be Valdez. I really don't want this prediction to happen or to be true, but there is one more little clip that backs up this theory. But back to the scene at hand. Nicole is wearing a necklace. It's hard to tell, but I think that this is Bolshar's ring on the end of it. If you remember, in the final episode of season 3, Waverly uses it to kind of sort of propose to Nicole. Nicole responds with, "I hate this ring," but maybe instead of wearing it around her finger, she has the ring on a necklace. Alright, now let's go to the next clip.
Whoa! Do not point that at anything unless you want it guacked.
But now I do want nachos.
There are lots of real fast clips here, so let me break it down. This was an incredibly funny image to me. Nicole holding a water gun, but if you see over her shoulder, she has another one slung over her back. And she's spraying what looks to be Doc, but I don't think that's true. I think we're not seeing the bigger picture here. I think Nicole is spraying something that is holding on to Doc. Like something popped out of the snow and just grabbed his ankle and they both got scared. But what's in the water gun? I don't think that it's water. I'm thinking it could be holy water that's already been in the show before, or it could be some sort of acidic or base liquid that can dissolve the creature that is holding on to Doc. Or it really is just water and they're playing a very, very dangerous game of water gun fights in the middle of the cold, cold winter. I think they said it was negative 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which in Celsius is negative 33 degrees during the time of shooting, so... Anyway, the next thing that we see is Waverly backhand slapping someone. I think that this someone is Valdez. And this was the clip that I was talking about earlier. The final evidence of Nicole possibly cheating. What if here Waverly finds out that Nicole cheated on her while she was on vacation in paradise? That wouldn't be too far out there, but let me know what you think in the comments. Next, we see what I do believe is Wynonna and Valdez doing something, maybe digging for something. I'm not really sure what's going on here. We then see Nicole here, and I think that she's at least topless, but given the tweet that Josh from Sci-Fi gave in February that says she realizes she's naked, so I think it's safe to say that what it was talking about was Nicole here, and well, she's naked. But look at the background. It's very hard to tell, but I think that Nicole is in the garden here, much like before when she was falling into the pit. Then we see Doc turning his head. I think that it's part of the same scene. But then we see the loading of a red glowing gun. Wynonna is wearing a fighter uniform here, but Jeremy has given me some Men in Black vibes. Well, the gun does too. But much like what many people are speculating, I do think that Black Badge is making a comeback here. But speaking of Jeremy, a character that was noticeably absent from this trailer was Robin. I don't know why, and maybe he is in the trailer just behind people, but I have not been able to find him if that's the case. Leave a comment if you have seen him. But anyway, they talk about how not to point a gun at anything unless they want it guacked. To which Wynonna characteristically replies that she really wants nachos. Then we see the one and only Danny fucking Kind, who plays Mercedes Gardner, singing and dancing. How normal. Alright, let's go to the next clip.
Let's go get our steps in. We're gonna name our little town in the demon-free zone once and for all. Clear eyes, full bra, can't lose.
Okay, Jon Snow in a B cup.
Alright, with this shot, we're back at the prologue scene with Wynonna and the background weapons. But what I'm interested in is the next shot of her in the firefighter uniform again. But looking up to see one of those zombies who's just peeping in to say hi. I don't really know what's going on here, but it seems very eerie. Wynonna talks about how they are going to get rid of these demons once and for all. We see Waverly dramatically looking at someone or something, then we see Wynonna and Nicole together. I think that this is once again tied into that hero shot I was talking about earlier. And then Valdez talks about Jon Snow in a beat cup, which, if you don't know, is a Game of Thrones reference, and I loved it.
Together we take back Purgatory when we hunt some goddamn demons.
Next, we see Nedley ready for action with a shotgun and a pitchfork. We then see Nicole smacking someone in the head with the stock of her shotgun. This matches the behind-the-scenes promo shot that we got of her doing the same thing. Tying back to the shots I talked about earlier, like the hero shot. If I could guess, I think that this is the first episode we're seeing. Then, the truck drifting in the snow, Wynonna and Doc looking at something. This part I thought was interesting. This is Nicole in her red beanie instead of the blue one, shooting at the homestead door, it looks like, but it's glowing. Maybe this glow is actually the fire that I talked about earlier, or it's a trippy vision thing that she's in. We then get a voiceover of Wynonna saying we're gonna hunt some goddamn demons, but then we see those zombies again, and look how they move. It's almost animalistic. I do think that this is some sort of hive takeover thing that they're gonna face this season, which is what zombies are, hence why I dubbed them that. Then we get Wynonna hitting someone I can only guess is a zombie. I do think that this setting also matches up with Nicole and her awesome power move, but I'm thinking that this is the first episode where they are introduced to the new bad guy. They fight him off to escape, and I guess they do meet Valdez here? So never mind with the drunk hookup, let's hope. We see here Nicole wearing camo with a shotgun, Valdez with a crossbow, and wait, Waverly in a rainbow onesie holding a big spoon? Okay, her weapons are really getting a little out of hand at this point. First it's a shotgun, then a stick, and now a big spoon. I mean, as long as she can take down the bad guys, I won't complain. We then see Wynonna diving into something. This, I believe, goes back to that first episode and all the clips we've seen tied to it. But then we see what is referred to in the industry as the money shot. The clip that makes you feel something, that makes you question everything, that made me really want to watch season 4, to know what's going on, and I know that it made you guys want to as well. It's the shot that will get everybody's attention and curiosity, so more people will end up watching the show, hence why it's called the money shot. But the thing that really got me, the chains in her mouth when she's screaming Wynonna. But if you take a closer look here, there seems to be 5 more chains. This is definitely in the garden. I can't see very well here, but I do think she's wearing her Jolene coat. So yeah, it's the garden.
Like I said, so good to be home.
For the very end, we see guys in uniforms holding guns up to Wynonna. I think that the choice of wardrobe for her here is strange. I think this is after the prologue scene we see with Nedley. She sarcastically says it's so good to be home before a bag is put over her head. Now, if this is the first episode, I think that the people who took Nicole, Robin, and Jeremy are the people kidnapping her. And the hero shot, and the other shots I've said possibly connected to it, I think this episode, Wynonna and Nicole are escaping the facility they were taken to, and meet up with that Valdez that way. After they escape, Wynonna drops the bomb that Waverly is gone, and that leads to Nicole punching her in the face. We see Doc punching Jeremy, and the rest of the shots are of that escape episode. But the final shot takes place after the hero shot we saw earlier in the trailer, where Nicole stays back to fend off the enemies while Valdez and Wynonna run for safety. Instead of the hookup, maybe this is in fact the big mistake Emily was referring to. Perhaps by staying back, Nicole gets quickly overrun by enemies and somehow comes out not the same as she was before. I already know that we're going to see a different side of Nicole, so maybe that's gonna be the mistake that she's gonna make, to essentially getting the different side. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Dark Nicole. But anyways, that's the trailer and the end of my breakdown. I know some things were a little out of order, but I'm very excited to see the season. And yeah, subscribe, leave a like if you liked it, because it really helps me out and helps this channel grow. Also leave comments if I've missed anything, or your own theories or predictions. Or just tell me how excited you are to see the new season. Alright, thanks for watching everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!